What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Flip Side of Mud. I don't know why my camera's so high. We are back with the video series 58,000 Lives, a tribute to the fallen. Our video series on all 58,200. I'm gonna get this right. Only 58,256 Vietnam heroes that perished in Vietnam. If you're new to the channel, I'm writing down all 58,256 names in my books. That's going to take me a bunch of books, but I give an update of where I'm at, and I read anywhere between 4 to 6 videos a week. I do 20 names, and I show the picture, and I tell you where they're from, where they was born, where they died, how they died, where if I can get information, where they serve, who they serve with, all that good stuff, and then give them a moment of silence. And we thank them for their service because they all deserve it because they're all heroes. So it's pretty much legit. This is video 25 in the series. We're still in the A's. I'm on Allen. I'm riding on Allen. I don't know where. We're in Alderman in the Reeds right now. So video 25, we're in Alderman. I give an update of where I'm at. So we're on 481 of 58,000. Video 25, and I'll tell you where I'm at ahead. I try to stay ahead at least 100 or so. So if I ever get to where I can't ride any, I can make a couple videos. I just started 665. So I'm almost 200 ahead. So I'll be about 250 by the time this video is over with. I'm at 200 ahead. So that's 10 videos ahead, right? Yeah. So I said one. Did I say 152? Yeah. So about 10 videos ahead. So we're doing the A's. If you go in my channel, which you're watching right now from it probably, they're all categorized. They're going to be A through Z. All these videos in A are going to be under video series Vietnam Series A. When we finally get to the B's, they'll be in a B category. So if you have a family member that died in Vietnam, they're not in the A's, or say they're later in the alphabet, you can find them a lot easier. You can look up 26 letters in the alphabet, so 26 video sections, and find them better than trying to listen to 2,912 videos. I think is what I have to do. 2,912 videos total at 20 names apiece. I tried to do 40 the other day, and I like to run out of breath because I don't breathe through my mouth when I talk, so I get real tired and I yawn. So 20 is pushing it. So anyway, if you like all this, if you want to comment anything, how I'm doing, what can I do any better, any stories you want to tell, you can comment on here. If you like and subscribe, you'll be notified the next time we do one. Or you can start over at the beginning of the series. You can go to video 5 and see the ghost at 10 minutes and 10 seconds right here, if you want to do that. That's video 5, 10 minutes, 10 seconds. But let's go ahead and get started on video 25. Like I said, we're on 481. We should end 499. Is that right? Let's see. 499. Let me flip all the way back over to where I started on 500. So that's 481. So we'll end at 500. Yep. So video, I got it wrote. I'm trying to be ahead. So video 26 starts at 501. So we're going to read from 481 to 500. The two announcements I always make, other than the update, is anything special stories, like cool stories or very heroic stories, or just anything interesting, we put a star next to their name, especially Medal of Honor, Silver Stars, Bronze Stars. And we're going to do podcasts in the future. I'm trying to get a little farther ahead, and we're going to do more in-depth talking about these individuals instead of just the 30-second reads I do on these guys. Sometimes I do further than 30 seconds, but it's an average. I want to go in more depth. So a lot of them don't have any info. And so the podcast is for the future. And the other thing I always say is, in these videos, I do TikToks and I do all kind of crazy stuff other than just the YouTube channel. So in my pictures, I'm in my gallery, there will sometimes be funny pictures in the middle of me screenshotting these. As I do 20 or 30 a day, I screenshot them, with my hand. Sometimes there's crazy, funny pictures, videos in between them, and I always do those to lighten the mood a little bit because, yes, this is a sad thing, but I don't want to just be reading obituaries the whole day. I'd like to have a little bit of fun and humor in there some, so maybe these guys, it ain't just a quiet read the whole time, so as long as it's appropriate. So who knows what I'll run into. So the last one we had, I'm going to go ahead and say this one for all the military people. The last one I had was a FOD walk down service medal for all those Navy guys. And then we're going to do the next one, but then we roll right into the NCAA bracket. As you can see where I was at when I done these. The bracket had just started. I screenshotted it. But anyway, let's get right into, it's enough rambling, let's get right into 481. It's a 5-minute mark. I always ramble about 5 minutes. It takes me about 40 minutes to do these videos. So, okay, let's get right into it. This is SP5 Wilford Harless Alderman. I always try to put a face with the name. It just makes me feel better that you know what he looks like. Like you want to just see. I don't know. I try to remember. I try to think when I'm reading these what the situation looks like they're at when they died, not just their face. But he was born March 30th, 1944, and if it doesn't say where, have a question mark, I can look at the Homer record, which was Floyd, Virginia. So I don't know where he was born, but his Homer record at his time of death was Floyd, Virginia. He was born March 30th, 1944. He died February 23rd, 1969. He was 24. He was HHC 1st Battalion, 27th Infantry Regiment, 25th Infantry Division. Won the Silver Star, but could not find any info. And I wrote pissed on here. So, see what at the top it says pissed? That means I will be doing more research. And I'm going to put a star next to his name. I don't have one yet. I do them as I go. Because Silver Star is next to Medal of Honor. I mean, it's the next step down. And so he did something whatever it was, that dang word. Proposally, I don't know what it is, but he did something heroic. And there's no information, and it pisses me off. So we will find something on this guy in the podcast later on. So we'll get, don't worry, Wilford, we'll get to you. But he's on panel 32W, line 87 of the War Memorial. Sorry I couldn't find any information on his death, but I will. I do look in depth on some of these guys, but sometimes you can't find them. Let's give SP5 Wilford Harless Alderman a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. Now, the next one is the difference. You see the difference? See the paragraph? The next one has a huge paragraph. It's just what I can find is what I can find. All right, let's get the March Madness bracket. This is PFC Wilford Alderman, or Wilford Winnie, W-I-N-N-Y was his nickname. Wilford Winnie Alderman. This one's got a paragraph. He was born, and sometimes I don't want to write a huge page. I don't mind writing a paragraph. I don't want to write a page. I will screenshot it and say see photo, then I read it from the phone. The good thing about reading those is I don't know what they say. When I'm doing these writing, I know what they say because I've already wrote it. So you don't get a live reaction. But when I do the see photos, I don't read them. So when I'm reading them, you guys will see a live reaction. It's like I'm reading it while at the same time y'all are hearing it. Just throw that a little bit of a thing in there to change it up some. But he was born November 16, 1946 in Burgaw, B-U-R-G-A-W. I'm not good with names on last names, towns, Vietnam's towns. Burgaw, North Carolina. Died May 17, 1967. He was 20. Quang Nam, Vietnam. He was with C Company 503rd Airborne Infantry Regiment. The Rock was the name of their regiment. 173rd Airborne. See, already started because I don't breathe. And they say you yawn. Yes, you can yawn when you're tired, but they say the reason why you yawn is because you're short of breath. He was with the armored, what do they call those armored APCs? Armored personnel carriers, like not a tank, but a thing that they can drive on the 6 wheels on it. And they got people in it. He was with the armored APCs returning from a mission. They approached a concrete bridge. An engineer minesweeper team examined it for wires and mines with negative results. So they run the metal detectors, didn't find no wires. The first APC made it across. A second one crossed. When it reached the center of the bridge, the left track detonated a pressure-type mine. So they didn't follow in the same exact tracks, apparently. It ruptured the fuel tank, setting fire to the APC. The personnel inside was thrown inside, and it turned over and landed sideways on the road. The ammo inside ignited, causing an explosion. Crewmen began removing the men, administering first aid. All men were extracted. They tried to rescue the commander Lewis, who was pinned underneath the APC. A head count revealed that 2 men had been riding on the D-13, I guess that's what it's called. 10 bodies had been recovered, but couldn't recognize some of them due to burns or dismemberment. Whew. 2 hours later, attempts to rescue Lewis remained unsuccessful, the one that was under the tank. Winfield, which is this guy we're talking about, was one of the deceased. 3 survived the blast but died later. So they all perished. He's on panel 20E, line 14. I'm going to give that one a star because that makes more in depth. The Wall Memorial. Another thing I always say is if you've never been to the Wall Memorial in Washington, D.C., I highly recommend it. I've been twice. I will go. Every single time I go to Washington, I'm going to the Wall Memorial. You're standing in front of Lincoln Monument at the steps looking up at Lincoln, and the behind you is the reflecting pool. Look to your right, and there's a little pathway, and right when you go around the path is the Wall Memorial. It's awesome. You need to go see it. Okay. Did we give him? No, we did not. It's on panel 20E, line 14. Let's give PFC Winford Weenie Alderman a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. Okay, this is Captain Donald Dean Aldern. Some of the pictures ain't always their military outfits. Some of them when there's children, when they were when they were a child. Some like prom pictures, different things like that. Some of their buddies in the jungle. It's pretty neat. He was born May 5th, 1930 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Died June 29th, 1970, so that'd be 6 days before his birthday. May, June. No, that's the other way around. I was thinking June was before May. I'm sorry. I apologize. Got that wrong. Died June 29th, 1970. He was 40. In Laos. Is it Laos? Something like that. 19th Cavalry Air Wing, USS Orsansky. He was a pilot of the Vought attack aircraft Corsair II A7A. On a mission in Laos, he was shot down and crashed. No remains were ever recovered. He was listed as MIA until 1978, then declared dead. His wife said since they never found a body, he has no grave marker in the United States. I'm putting a star next to that because that kind of made me mad. I understand, just because there's no body, why would you not at least put a monument? You know what I mean? It says there's no grave marker. He still deserves a marker. Unless they put him in the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers, but he's not unknown because they know who it is. I don't understand why he doesn't have a marker. Does that make sense to y'all? I don't know. He's on panel 9W line 101 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give Captain Donald Dean Aldrin a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. Okay, this is PFC Benjamin Robert Alderson. Born November 6, 1947 in Redding, California. Died June 12, 1969. He was 21. In Tay Nguyen, Vietnam. He was with B Company, 1st Battalion, 5th Cavalry Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division. Died from small arms fire. Only information I can find. He's on panel 22W, line 30 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give PFC Benjamin Robert Alderson a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. We thank you for your service, my hero. Oh, I just because this is a donation store. We're kind of like Goodwill, but we're called the American Collection Donation Store. So we're a thrift store, but we take donations. We also buy storage units, and I make the videos as I'm buying them. You know what's inside them, all that stuff for TikTok, things like that. And I saved this picture to use as one of my pictures. Yep. Got to put old Dave Hester in there, right? See, lighten the mood a little bit. This is PFC Michael Edward Alderson. And yes, my fingernails are dirty, but I can't help it. I've been working all day. I don't really care. Born June 8th, 3 days after my birthday, 1944. Question mark. Home record, Bay City, Michigan. Died March 11th, 1967. He was 22. Vietnam. He was a D Company, 2nd Battalion, 5th Cavalry Regiment, 2nd Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division. Died from small arms fire. You're going to have 25% of all the names I read. That's all you're going to get because that's all they have. He's on panel 16E, line 55 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give PFC Michael Edward Alderson a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. It's not because I don't try. I check 6 or 7 websites. And if it's the same 6 or 7 websites I always find, I just randomly Google their name. And if nothing else comes up, I got way too many names to be like trying to find local newspapers and stuff. Maybe one day, if I have a crew doing this, I can do that. But that's a whole lot extra when I have 58,000 names to do. But I do my best. This is SP4 Terry Howard Alderson. telling you, the Adams was like 121 names, and the Allens have got to be farther. I've been in the Allens for days. I know you see the names over and over again. I hate to see when I get to Smith, right? He was born November 6, 1942 in Gregg County, Texas. Died May 6, 1968. He was 25 in Vietnam. He was A Company, 3rd Battalion, 21st Infantry, 196 Light Infantry Brigade. Died from multiple frag wounds in the Battle of Dai Do. D-A-I-D-O. I think that's how you say that. Dai Do. He's on panel 55E, line 37 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give SP4 Terry Howard Alderson a moment of silence. Thank him for his service. This is Corporal Thomas Copper. Oh, I'm sorry, let me back up one. That was SP4. This is Captain Thomas Earl Alderson. I was jumping one ahead, and it happens sometimes. Born October 9, 1941 in Lakota, North Dakota. Died October 3rd, 1968. He was 26, so he died 6 days before his 27th birthday. In Thien Hue, Vietnam. He was an Army dental officer. 56th Dental Detachment, 56th Medical Battalion, 44th Medical Brigade. See photos. Ooh, that always means something good. It was 2 huge ones. This is going to take 3. Usually there's just one like this. But I have. There's another one. I have 3. But anyway, what I was going to say before I said see photo is that over in this corner there's a box. Well, it was right here, but I don't know where I went to. Somebody had donated a box. It was World War II. But it was from a dental officer as well, and it was a full first aid kit, about 2 feet long, probably a foot tall, a foot wide. Opened it up, and it's all sealed. Everything's sealed. All the syringes, the mask, everything in there is sealed. It's really cool. All the medicines. It's got the guy's name on the top of it. I'm not going to dispose that. And then it come with a metal. It was about this big, so probably a foot wide, 6 inches long, 5 inches tall. It was a propane like tank heater that you could heat up water to do dental surgery on. So you'd boil water and sanitize stuff. It was really cool. And then it came with a couple of things like his water, his canteen, his pouch, things like that. But it was pretty cool. A whole kit. It was like a all of stuff's in there. Shovel, helmet, all that. Never. Like it can't say it wasn't sealed because you can open the box, but all the stuff inside was individually sealed in packets. I thought it was pretty cool. Hope I didn't bring a ghost in here from that. But anyway, let's read these 3 pages. I usually try to read these as fast as I can because there's a lot of writing. All right, you'll see why I didn't write this. October 3rd, 1968, a U.S. Air Force C-7A Caribou cargo aircraft from the 537th Tactical Air Squadron, trying to keep up, 483rd Tactical Air Wing, 7th Air Force, based at Phuket, P-H-U-C-A-T, 2 different words, Phuket, collided with the U.S. Army. See, this is the first time I'm reading this. CH-47A Chinook helicopter of the 228th Combat Support Aviation Battalion. That's bad. 1st Cavalry Division near Camp Evans in Thua Thien Province. RV U.S. Air Force C-7A departed Camp Evans Airfield from runway 36. Its last transmission, that's the Caribou. I guess, it's cargo aircraft, okay. His last radio transmission was receiving tower clearance, was rolling. It said rolling. This aircraft was observed to make a climbing right-hand turn before reaching the end of the runway. The CH-47 helicopter had departed LZ Nancy only a few minutes before. It was proceeding alongside Highway QL1 on a heading of 107 degrees in a shallow descent. Doesn't this sound familiar? Didn't this just happen in Washington where a plane hit an helicopter because it was in the same spot? The aircraft was on scheduled daily passenger and mail shuttle. It was estimated that the CH-47 was cruising at approximately 95 to 100 knots. The C-7A was climb power would have been to about 105 knots. The 2 aircraft converged at altitude approximately 1,100 feet. Wasn't that helicopter at 700 feet? And he was supposed to be like a ceiling. He had a ceiling he was supposed to be at, and he was under it. He was supposed to be above 1,000. Ain't that crazy? The cockpit section of the C-7A contacted the rear rotor of the helicopter. The C-7A had started a right bank approximately probably a last-minute attempt to avoid a collision. When the 2 aircraft collided, at least one of the helicopter rear rotor blades sliced through the cockpit section of the airplane, killing both pilots instantly. Wow! And destroying all engine controls. That's insane. This is the first time I'm reading it. At the same time, one of the rotor blades or debris from the cockpit struck the left propeller of the C-7A,
One of the blades was severed from the propeller and passed through both sides of the fuselage of the airplane. The left propeller then separated from the engine and fell to the ground. The C-7A made a steep descending right turn and struck the ground. The aircraft disintegrated. All personnel aboard perished, and there was no fire. That's odd. The CH-47 at the moment of the collision lost all of his rear main rotor blades. Neither rotor system could provide any thrust. The helicopter became a free-falling body. The fuselage tumbled to earth and landed on its top left side. It exploded on impact. 2 persons fell out of the helicopter that tumbled through the air. They were fatally injured on contact with the ground. Those remaining in the helicopter died in the crash. The lost Caribou crew included the pilot, Captain Wayne. I'm not gonna name all these names because they will come up eventually. All these people died in Vietnam, so I will get to all their names down the road. I hope we're reading Alderson, so let's see where he was at in here. There's a lot of. It's 9 U.S. Army passengers. Oh, that was the flight. That was the crew. The crew was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 9 Army passengers. I must have hit the wrong button there. No, don't hit that button. Go back. I did not hit that. Sergeant Tomlinson. I don't see Alderson yet. Some of the passengers on the Caribou were near the end of their tour in Vietnam. Oh man, and they were heading back to the United States. God, the lost Chinook crew included aircraft commander, co-pilot, crew, gunner, flight engineer. The passengers were C.T. Thomas Alderson. Okay. A few more. Many soldiers at Camp Evans were having dinner in the mess hall when the crash happened. Several were sent over to help search for bodies. I thought I was going to say they landed on the mess hall. This was the worst several airspace control incidents during where was that? When you flip pages, you got to remember where you're at having dinner. This was the worst several airspace control incidents during the war. It was reported that the air traffic controller was court-martialed for clearing both aircraft at the same time. That deserves a highlight. So, I wonder if they're going to get the same guy. Well, they said the pilot of the helicopter was inexperienced. The one in Washington, so I'm not sure. Wow. It's a crazy story. He's on panel 42W, line 65. Let's give Captain Thomas Earl Alderson a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. Gotta love the libraries. Okay, this is Corporal Lilo. What a name. I didn't mean to laugh. Lilo Elmer Aldous. Aldous. Lilo Elmer. My last name is Mudd, so you know they made fun of me in boot camp. I was in the Navy, by the way. Born December 30, 1942 in Malad City, Idaho. Died September 15, 1968. He was 25 in Quang Tri, Vietnam. He was a D Company 1st Battalion, 5th Cavalry, 1st Cavalry Division. They were airlifted into an adjacent LZ close to the Hai Long village. Before that, their cruiser, USS Boston, arrived at dusk and engaged in an all-night bombardment of the position. At 0930 the next morning, a final assault was made on the position. Corporal Aldous was killed by enemy sniper fire. 223 of his battalion were killed, and 44 were POWs. Wow. That's another star. That's just from that last sentence deserved a star. 223. I don't know how many was in the battalion, but I'm gonna find out how many people's in a battalion. I don't know. I wasn't in the Army or Marines. And 44 POWs. He's on panel 44W, line 60 of the War Memorial. Let's give Captain Aldous a moment of silence. Then we thank him for his service. This is SP4 James Vincent Aldred. Aldred, born May 31st, 1949 in Michigan, died October 29th, 1969. He was 20. Bien Phuoc, Phuoc. I always say Phuoc and I feel I'm cussing. I don't know if it's Phuoc or not. In Vietnam, he was A Company, 5th Battalion, 7th Cavalry Regiment, 2nd Brigade, 1st Cavalry Division. Died from multiple frag wounds. Now, I noticed on some of these names when you write them down, some of the people have it listed as battery, or like A Company, A Battery, A Troop. It confuses me. Died of multiple frag wounds. He is on panel 17W, line 93. Let's give SP4 James Vincent Aldred a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. This is Corporal David Allen Aldrich. Aldrich, not Aldred, Aldrich. Born August 15, 1947 in Fremont, Ohio. Died March 30th. See, this says Gibsonburg, Ohio, which is their home of record when they died, but the obituary, I'm reading from the obituary. So the family says he was born in Fremont, Ohio. That's why I go to the obituaries before I go to the military story, because I get the family's personal information, and then I go to the military side to get the military information. He died on March 30th, 1968. He was 20 in Quang Tri, Vietnam. He was a B Company 1st Battalion's 26th Marine, 3rd Marine Division, 3rd Marines. Died from hostile explosion. 12 died in the incident. It was called Payback Patrol. He had only 1 day left before he was scheduled to go home on April 1st. See pictures. Oh, I got 3 more pictures. Wow. Oh, this was a story from a person. Okay. Now I kept this because this was a story from one of his buddies, I think, if I remember correctly. I'm just gonna read. I think I saved this because it was pretty interesting. I was scheduled to go on April 1st. The evening before, yeah, this is his buddy. They were supposed to go home on April 1st. The evening before the patrol, the word got passed to me that Aldrich was looking for me. I went to the bunker, stuck my head in, saw he was slouched on a cot. I went in and sat down. He abruptly handed me an envelope, and I said, "What's this for?" "Make sure my parents get this." "What is this?" "My dog tags." I began to yell at him. I refused to accept the envelope. He said, "If I go out tomorrow, I won't come back alive." I yelled. "If you believe that now, that's what will happen." He nodded. I said, "You've got to believe that they can't get you. If you believe that they can't get you, they won't." He shook his head. He went back and forth and resigned. He resigned, me enraged, angry, and screaming. He wasn't buying what I was saying. I didn't accept the envelope. The next day was 4 or 5 hours of speed up, slowed down hell. It was like Dante from his poem Inferno. I survived it, and a lot of Marines didn't. I remember walking down the red dirt road when we were ordered back into the perimeter. Men staggering along the line. Some wore bandages on their head, the arms and legs. Some wore looks on their dirty faces and reminded me of the dead people. 2 men dragged a body down the middle of the road. I passed them and looked down. Even though his face had turned into red clay, I knew it was David A. Aldrich, Corporal, United States Marine Corps. I've been haunted by these images for over 45 years. What could I have done to prevent Aldrich's death? What could have been done? Did my failure to accept the envelope with the dog tags dishonor him? Maybe when I had done these things, the images will stop coming. Maybe when I'm done writing this. Later that day, the word came down the trench line asking if anyone had seen Aldrich. He was missing in action. They said I went up to the platoon command post and told them I had seen his corpse. "You're sure?" They asked me. "Yeah." I said. The platoon sergeant went up with me to the battalion headquarters, and I signed affidavits of some sort saying I'd seen him dead. I signed the papers. He was dead, killed in action. For years, I had a sneaking fear that somehow I was wrong, and David Aldrich is locked away in some prison cell in Hanoi. Seeing his name on the wall soothes that fear somewhat. David Evans asked that if anyone knew David Aldrich, please contact him. So he's afraid he's alive. Oh my God, that's. Does it say this guy's name? Yeah, that's David Aldrich. David Evans. I'm going to give his email because, not to give personal information, but I hope this will reach to someone that if they know David Aldrich or someone wants to contact this guy and help him through his hard times. If you do, just tell him the Flip Side of Mud YouTube channel is doing what he's doing, and I give his information away only for the purpose of helping him. So please don't send him anything bad. It's David Evans. Please contact him at USMC, United States Marine Corps, D. Evans. Devans. So USMCDEVANS at yahoo.com. I'm going to save this picture. I usually delete the pictures when I get done because I got thousands of them to do. I'm going to save this one and email this guy and tell him what I'm doing. There will be a screening of Bravo in Santa Rosa, California. This was done in 2013, so I'm hoping he's still alive because this is a picture of him. So I'm going to try and see if he's alive. I need to look him up in the obituaries and see if he's alive. Anyway, what a crazy story. I'm going to put a star next to that one too. He's on, even if he's alive, if he did die, he's on panel 47E, line 7 of the Wall Memorial. Let's hope he's alive, but let's give Corporal David Allen Aldrich a moment of silence. And we thank him for his service. This one's going to take a little bit longer than normal because there's a lot of reading stories, which is great. I'd rather have reading stories than nothing. Okay, this is Sergeant John Herrick Aldridge. I would rather take hours. The more stories, the better. He was born December 22nd, 1945. Question mark. Sheridan, Wyoming. Died June 20th, 1969. He was 23, and he was H&H Company, 6th Battalion, 31st Infantry, 9th Infantry Division. Died from multiple frag wounds. See, I'd rather have a story than just that. He's on panel 22W, line 95 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give John Herrick Aldridge a moment of silence. Thank him for his service. Did I show his picture? I did. Yeah. This is SP4 Lawrence Lee Aldridge. He was born July 16, 1947 in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Died May 6, 1968. He was 20. In Bien Dien, Vietnam. He was a B Company, 2nd Battalion, 530 Infantry Regiment, 173rd Airborne Brigade. On a search and clear mission when a friendly airstrike at hostile forces nearby. So he was on a search and clear mission when a friendly airstrike at hostile forces of his own company, the military, was firing at enemy positions close to them. A 750-pound bomb was sent into his position. His remains were not recovered for 41 years until 2010. Wow. So, another friendly fire incident. Freaking ridiculous. He's on panel 55E, line 37 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give SP4 Lawrence Lee Aldridge a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. And I took a random selfie, so I did say I was going to throw all my pictures in there, so took a random selfie there. This is First Lieutenant Robert Henry Aldridge, or Robert Henry Bob and Buzz Aldridge. His nickname was Bob and Buzz. So First Lieutenant Robert Henry Bob and Buzz Aldridge. What a nickname. Oh, I lost my spot I was on. There we go. Born June 11th, 1947 in Port Washington, New York. Port Washington, not Fort. Port Washington, New York. Died December 27, 1971. He was 24 in Quang Tri, Vietnam. He was SQ HMM-165, CH-46D. The CH-46D was lost at sea while conducting a search to watch for Russian ships near the fleet. 2 separate witness accounts. See photos. Okay. And I have 2 separate witness accounts on the picture here. Okay, this is the first witness. We were running sector searches from the ship to watch the activity of several Russian vessels that were with us. It was midday, perfectly clear, and they had just checked in by radio approximately 25 miles out from the ship. This was the last we heard from them. We did recover enough of the plane for the Boeing VTRO reps that were flown out to us to suspect a mechanical failure. They found a failure in the planetary gear system that suspected was the cause. We returned to QB Point for a more in-depth inspection of all the 46s. We flew them all off and found that we had several more of them about to fail from the same thing. The commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Moreau, Moreau, flew one ashore that was just about to fail. This resulted in grounding all the 46s in the Navy Marine Corps for an inspection. A fix was produced by Boeing, and after incorporation, the ACs were put back in service, but not before we lost Bob Aldridge and HAC and Al Spurlock, the H-2P. The crew chief was Greg Davis, submitted by Greg Zimmerman. Okay, the second witness says Davis's body was recovered, but the 2 pilots were not. They were in CH-46D. The HMM-165 command crew for December 71 addresses the incident, but does not give names of the crewmen. Okay. He's on panel 2W, line 131. Let's give Lieutenant Robert Henry Bob and Buzz Aldridge a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. This is PFC Herbert Ray Aldridge. Born November 28, 1949 in Des Moines, Iowa. Died March 6, 1968. He was 18 in Quang Tri, Vietnam. He was with G Company, 2nd Battalion, 26th Marine Regiment, 3rd Marine Division, 3rd Marine Amphibious Force. Whew. See, photo. This 20 has the most photos. I might have one set of photos every 20. This one's got a lot. And it's another 3 full pages. All right. Let's roll with it. The Fairchild C-123 Provider was a night attack system transportation aircraft based on the all-metal glider designed by Chase Aircraft. The airplane C-123B prototype first flew December 1st, 1954. The C-123B, in the hands of a group of airmen who called themselves the Mule Train, became the first transport to see the Vietnam service. The Provider, particularly in camouflage paint, was molted topside and light bottom side, resembling an arched back well suspended from a bottom midpoint of a huge dorsal wings. Like other transports, the Provider proved its versatility during the Vietnam War. On March 6, 1968, a U.S. Air Force C-123K was scheduled to fly to Phu Bai Airfield, South Vietnam, some 39 miles southwest of Da Nang. Then on the Khe Sanh Quang Tri province, aircraft commanded LTC Frederick J. Hampton, co-pilot Lieutenant Ellis Hegelson, and crew chief Jeffrey Conan comprised the crew of the C-123K Mission 702. All members of this air crew were assigned to the 311th Air Cargo Squadron, 315th Air Cargo Wing, Phan Rang Air Base. South Vietnamese were detached to Da Nang Air Base. Mission 702 departed Da Nang with its cargo in Phu Bai. After offloading its cargo was accomplished, the aircraft was subsequently loaded with 47 U.S. Marines bound for Kai Shan. Phu Bai's passengers representative assisted the aircraft loadmaster in organizing various pallets loaded with the passengers' gear. Another set of pallets stacked with M60 machine guns and other weapons, and more loaded with beer and soft drinks that were all to be delivered to Kai Shan. When mission number 702 departed Phu Bai Airfield, it carried a total of 51 passengers and crew, 43 Marines, 1 corpsman, 1 civilian photographer, 3 U.S. Air Force passengers, and 3 main airmen, Air Force crewmen. Once in the vicinity of their destination, Lieutenant LTC Hampton established radio contact with the ground control and was cleared to land. He initiated a final approach to the Kai Shan airfield, but was forced to abort the landing because of the South Vietnamese Air Force light aircraft that obstructed the runway. The Provider circled around the low altitude to set up for a second approach. However, as he did so, it was hit by enemy ground fire and the Port June jet engine. LTC Hampton climbed for altitude as he transmitted their situation and reported that he was returning back to Da Nang with the battle damage. Shortly thereafter, the Provider spiraled into the ground, exploding on impact. The crash site was located in extremely rugged jungle-covered mountains that was dotted with small clearings covered with elephant grass and bamboo just a mile southeast of the base's runway. Less than a mile southeast of the base's runway. Less than a mile east of the closest point along Route 9 and just north of the closest location on the Song Quang Tri River that nearly encircled the lost location. The crash site was also located approximately 14 miles east of the South Vietnamese-Lao border, 58 miles west-northwest of Phu Bai Airfield, and 100 miles northwest of Da Nang Air Base. Due to the tactical situation in and around Kai Shan, ground search parties first reached the aircraft's wreckage on April 26, 1968, to begin the grisly task of recovering remains. Other search teams returned to the crash site on June 24th and July 3rd, 1968, respectively. On each occasion, human remains, dog tags, and other identification, media, and personal effects were recovered. All possible human remains and personal effects that were recovered were transported to the U.S. Army mortuary facility in Da Nang. For the audacious task of identification, military morticians were able to positively identify less than half of the men aboard the Provider. Those remains were embalmed and returned to each man's family for burial. They included a whole bunch. I'm not going to read them all. Remains of other personnel on board could not be positively identified. Therefore, they were returned to Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery for group interment on November 23, 1968. The names include Aldridge was in the ones that could not be identified. Whew. That was a lot of reading. And that also deserves a star. Where did I read that? Yes, right here. Whew. This one's taking way. I'm usually done about now, but this one's taking way longer. There's a lot of photos. That's okay though. Okay, so this is PFC. Oh, he's on panel 43E, line 12. Let's give PFC Herbert Ray Aldridge and all those in that airplane a moment of silence. We thank them for their service. This is PFC Neil Wayne Aldridge. We're on 496, so we got like 4 or 5 more. June 12, born June 12, 1947 in Cleveland, Ohio. Died June 6th, 1967. He was 19, so he died a week before his birthday in Quang Tri, Vietnam. He was a D Company, 1st Battalion, 9th Marine Regiment, 3rd Marine Division. In Operation Prairie the 4th, when they engaged with hostile forces, he was wounded by small arms fire and died aboard the USNH USS Repose from gunshot wounds to the abdomen. He's on panel 21E, line 60 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give PFC Neil Wayne Aldridge a moment of silence. And thank him for his service. This is a PFC Willie Gene Aldridge. He was born May 16, 1947 in Clark County, Kentucky, or Winchester. Died December 10, 1968. He was 21 in Thanh Huy, Vietnam. He was A Company, 1st Battalion, 327th Infantry, 101st Airborne. Died from small arms fire. He's on panel 37W, line 78 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give PFC Willie Gene Aldridge a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. This is PFC John Ira Alec. Born December 10, 1947 in Reno, Nevada. Died March 7, 1969. He was 21 in Vietnam. He was I Company, 3rd Battalion, 26th Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division, 3rd Marine Amphibious Force. Died from small arms fire. He's on panel 30W, line 62 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give PFC John Ira Alec a moment of silence. Thank him for his service. This is Staff Sergeant Daniel Albert Algery. Born October 19, 1948 in San Francisco, California. Died February 28, 1970. He was 21 in Thanh Huy, Vietnam. He was a B Company, 2nd Battalion, 506th Infantry, 101st Airborne Division, the Screaming Eagles. Died from wounds from an explosive device. That's the end of this book. I mean, I flipped over and started on the back side of the pages, but I finally made it to the end of the book on exactly number 499. Coincidental. He's on panel 13W, line 66 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give Staff Sergeant Daniel Albert Algery a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. This is the last one of this video 25. This is PFC Anthony Albert Allen Castor. Alan Castor. Born November 20, 1948 in Honolulu, Hawaii. Died April 14, 1968. He was 19 in Quang Tri, Vietnam. He was with L Company, 3rd Battalion, 26th Marine, 3rd Marine Division. Died from small arms fire. He's on panel 49E, line 50 of the Wall Memorial. Let's give PFC Anthony Albert Allen Castor a moment of silence. We thank him for his service. Alright guys, this was video 25. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to keep reading heroes till we get to the end of the 58,000 names. And like I said, if you enjoy this, subscribe, like, comment, do all the things that we do on YouTube. I'm going to get a hold of that guy and hope he's okay. I know it's been 12 years, but maybe he's still alive. You guys do, but don't do anything mean. And make sure you mention what I'm doing, so hopefully he'll understand why we're messaging him. Other than that, guys, I'll see you on the next one on video 26. See you on the flip side.